Welcome to Zero's Game Room, where all things gaming takes place. Interviews, discussions, and the latest gaming news. So take a seat, get comfortable, adjust your headset, because it's game time. Here's your host, Zero.
Welcome to Zero's Game Room, the podcast where we talk about all things gaming. We've covered a lot of topics. We've talked about live streaming, music, and even like some popular games that are going out right now. But today, we're gonna have a little bit of a debate. I don't necessarily like to call it a debate because, it's open air and there's like two sides to this. But with me, I have Jack Bowman. He is the president of the University of Laverne's Gamers Guild, and he is here with me. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Zero. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, yeah, no, I would love to have you here. So, today we're going to be having the age-old discussion, console versus PC.
All right.
So, with that being said, Jack, what's your opinion on the whole topic? Because a lot of people have talked about, console versus PC. Some people say PC's better, some people say console. What's your take on this?
Well, I guess ultimately it depends on, I think, what you do. I've built my own PC. I've built PCs for others. I am by all means a PC Master Race guy,
Oh, the PC Master Race, yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm a Redditor. I won't lie. I live in that community. And ultimately, it's no diss to couch gamers. That's what I will say.
Right.
If you're a couch gamer and you play Xbox, Halo's pretty cool. Gears of War was fun.
When it comes to console or PC gamers, I get it. There are some exclusives to console, and there's that whole couch experience that you don't necessarily get with PC. But with PC, you also have this huge library with Steam, right?
Yeah, so I think the great thing is that I don't pop any discs in. In fact, my computer doesn't even have a CD drive.
Dude, no, it's funny that you say that. I recently... See, I'll just really quickly. I actually recently built my own PC, so I don't have a CD drive on mine. I decided, because I was, for the most part, a console gamer, but I decided to... I feel like it's a rite of passage to build a PC, isn't it?
It really is. It really... You respect your hardware so much more when you do it yourself, because when you're buying an Xbox, you get one off the shelf, everyone's is the same, you can't move up from there. And if you wanted to pump more money into it and make it better and get a better experience, you're really limited to buying in the Elite controller, which isn't that great, and a new headset.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you could expand the hard drive, and that's kind of it. And you can get a PS4 Pro. And
I think that something beautiful about PC was at some point I said, you know what? I'm tired of 1080p. And I moved up to a 1440p monitor. I'm running a 144 hertz refresh rate. And the experience is so much better and different. And playing at a desk with a keyboard and mouse, you really don't realize just how different it is until you've done it and you go back to a controller.
It's just not the same.
It's not the same, and aiming sucks.
I feel like it kind of brings me back. I don't know how much do you know the Resident Evil series?
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. Resident Evil 4 tends to be the more popular of the games, but there was a PC port. And there was also a port, while it was on console, there was a port for the GameCube, there was one for the PS2, and there was one for the Wii. Now, it's funny because, in my opinion, I think the Wii version was the more predominant version, and I'll tell you why. Because even though a Wiimote, it just felt more precise as you're pointing at the TV shooting, which I feel is very similar to a mouse, right?
Yeah, one thing that I think we had this debate in Overwatch, console versus PC, because you can play it on both. And on console, they have a thing called aim assist, which essentially, because joysticks are actually so inaccurate, they have to help you aim. So if you shoot close to somebody, you'll hit them. If you're on PC and you move your mouse close to somebody, and you'll miss them. There's no help because they expect you to be more precise. You're allowed to move your mouse and actually focus on people, and it's really interesting that when you play on console, you don't think about that and you don't notice it.
Right, you don't. And I will say there are like some aim assists, and I mean, granted, there are in console versions you can turn off the aim assist, but like you said, joysticks are kind of a little bit inaccurate.
Yeah, they're really bad, actually.
Yeah, but what would you say? So since you are on the side of PC, now granted, like I said, I built a PC recently, but I still am a hardcore console person. I love the couch experience. What do you say to those people who, I mean, granted, I know you said that, there's nothing against those people who play on couch, but what about those game exclusives that PC gamers don't have access to? Like, for example, the PS4 has The Last of Us. I don't believe that's on Steam.
No. And that's the one thing that consoles have always had above PC. You can't play Halo on your PC. You can't play Gears of War, Last of Us. When the PS3 came out, Little Big World was huge. And I wanted to play it so bad, and I didn't own a PS3.
Oh, wow. See, yeah.
And part of that is just, kind of just dealing with it. That's what you get, I guess, for not owning one of those systems. And that's something that we have to concede. It's like that's what they get the exclusives, and I think something too is that we don't count all of the PC exclusives. Think of how many just dozens of and hundreds of indie games.
Oh yeah, the indie market has exploded and its origins come from PC.
Oh yeah, the Greenlight program on Steam is huge.
Oh yeah, talk about the Greenlight program a little bit.
So the Greenlight program essentially is Steam's way of allowing indie devs to make games and make money off of them in early access. So these games are not finished, they're not done. There was a great game called Astroneer that was pretty big for a while. That was kind of like what No Man's Sky should have been. But it's still working, it's still in beta. So Steam has allowed these guys to, Steam will kind of vet their program and then allow them to sell it as an early access beta content on Steam. So you can buy it and play it. And I put 15 or 16 hours into it one weekend with a bunch of friends.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, and it's stuff like that really, and you wouldn't see that on a PS4 on the store or anything, They usually if they put anything, they'll put an indie game that's more already, popular. Kind of like Shovel Knight was. That got ported everywhere.
Yeah, Shovel Knight and Super Meat Boy were two of the big
Super
ones.
Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy, when it got onto Xbox, that was considered such a huge success, and it's kind of sad that it has to get that success before it can be allowed to be played on consoles.
Oh yeah, because there's so many games that I've played, which eventually, got more popularity, like Stardew Valley. There was another really popular game. I don't believe it's gotten onto console yet. It's called Owlboy.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many beautiful indie games that just don't make it to console because they didn't gain that popularity. They didn't gain that reputation. But, it's kind of hard. The debate of PC versus console, there's some things you just can't deny. For consoles, exclusives. But with PC, you got this whole customization thing going on, right?
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, or I think even a lot of PC users sometimes miss when they haven't built their own rig and they bought a laptop or what have you, or like a pre-built, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, my PC is a work of art. I've taken nice pictures of it and I put it on Facebook, and it's I look at it and I'm proud. And I do with it what I want. So it's like, I wanted better sound quality, so I got a sound card. And now I have an external DAC that I use to power my headphones, and I have nicer headphones that need extra power, And it's something that you'd never get if you weren't into that realm, or you played on your couch all the time and you use Turtle Beaches or whatever.
Right, there's two completely different experiences with both. And that's not to say, for example, I don't know as of right now. Again, I'm more of a console person. Has Final Fantasy 15 been ported to PC?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I've never been a Final Fantasy guy.
Oh, okay.
That was a problem. Final Fantasy has always been a big problem for us. We got the Final Fantasy MMO. Right. That went down. But we've always been on the tail end of a lot of those games that come out on console first. Bethesda's a big culprit of that too.
Right.
The Fallout
For example,
series.
some of the games would be?
The Fallout series, we always get support last. and it just feels like it's made to be played with a controller. If you play Fallout on PC, it always feels like it was designed for a controller. And the keyboard layout's kind of odd sometimes, and the or like Skyrim. Right?
Oh, Skyrim, yeah.
The Skyrim modding community was massive, and still is, actually, with the special edition that came out last year.
Right.
The modding community is huge, and they actually redesigned the entire UI. It's called Sky UI. It's like the biggest mod on Nexus Mods, which is where you find most of the third-party content. Mm-hmm. And it redesigns the entire UI so that you can use it with a mouse.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, because navigating the menus with a mouse on like the default Skyrim is absolute hell.
It's hell on earth. Would you say you took an arrow to the knee? If how painful it was.
But it really is, and it's something that I don't think developers often think about. Is they design this for Xbox or PS4 because that's their biggest market often, and so it gets to us, and we play these Bethesda games that like just feel like they're not meant for us to play. It feels like we should plug in a controller, and I have a controller. I play Rocket League on an Xbox controller plugged into my PC.
Yeah, Rocket League is a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rocket League was definitely meant, and they even give a disclaimer. They say, hey, this game is meant for controllers.
And there's a lot of games like that. And see, that's the hardest thing, There's some games that are just meant to be played on a console, and there's so many arguments. But I think, like I said earlier, there's some things you just can't, you can't argue. While consoles do have exclusives, there's a lot, and this is something I've had to learn the hard way, building my own PC. There's a lot of customization. There's a lot of limits you can push. There's things you can do to make your PC look better than on a console. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the addition of higher resolutions, for sure, on an Xbox. Well, I guess the new Project Scorpio or whatever is going to try and challenge that 4K barrier. It's just rumors at this point, right? But like on PCs, you can push 4K as a real limit right now on current games, on old games. And you can push higher sound quality. They do like the 7.1 surround sound. If you play Battlefield 1 with the 7.1 surround, and it blows your mind, man.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. You've never really heard true audio quality until you can tell how far away somebody is from you. You can't even see them, but you kind of know because you can hear it.
Wow, it's that in depth.
Yeah, it's something that I never experienced when I was an Xbox. Because I grew up with an Xbox,
Okay.
I grew up with an original Xbox. I played Knights of the Old Republic all the time. I was a big Call of Duty
that takes
kid.
me back.
Oh yeah, I was really into Call of Duty. I had a 360 in high school, So I understand, and it was something that you never really appreciate till you get there,
Exactly, and that's what I want. See, I'm not trying to sound preachy or anything, but I want a world where PC gamers and console gamers can come together and realize that at the end of the day, all that matters are the games we play. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it shouldn't be about which one is better, which one is more powerful, because let's be honest, I'm gonna break the barrier here. PCs are stronger. There is no argument. You can't customize a PS4. Granted, you could probably do little tweaks here and there, but when you are building your PC, me being a person who has personally experienced it, and I loved it, it was an eye-opening experience to do research, find parts that I want, parts that will go well together, that I can push the console. And to this day, I don't think I've pushed my PC to its limits.
Yeah, I think I've gotten there a few times. I'm that guy as I will push every frame I can, and I want to see how high I can turn up those settings. And it's something, I never thought about that. It's like every PC game I hop into now, I immediately go to the settings and see what's checked off, what I need to change, And it's something that, like, you don't do that when you play Xbox. You just hop into a game and just start playing. And part of that is, I feel powerful and I have this, I can turn off my anti-aliasing if I don't want it. I can make things sharper. I can turn it up to 16. And it's something that, it kind of breaks your immersion a little bit. And that's what I've always felt, is I feel less immersed on my PC often.
Oh, that's actually interesting. It's funny that you bring that up because I can see that. Because with the console experience, you just boom, you throw in a game, let's go. You know, you don't have to tweak around anything. Immersion.
Yeah, that's what my dad owns an Xbox. Which my dad's like 60. And my dad owns an Xbox, and he loved the simplicity of it, you know? He plugged it in, he turned it on, he made a username, and he's done.
Yeah,
he pays
that's
for
all
gold.
you really have to do.
Right, he pays for gold membership once a year, and he goes out to GameStop and buys a little card for it, you know, like, but it was so easy for him. It wasn't complicated. He didn't have to install Windows on it or, you know.
You don't need an OS, you don't need any of that,
Right.
You don't need the drives and anything.
Yeah. He knew he had a TV, and he just bought the Xbox and plugged it in. It was easy. And have you ever seen any of the PC like couch gaming equipment, like the Corsair Bulldog? Or,
That's something I wanted to bring up. No. I know like Steam was trying to come out with a thing so you could play your Steam games on like a console. Like have that console experience but using your Steam library.
What's it called? I know exactly what you're talking about. It's meant to pair with the Steam controller, where you have your computer on the side, and through your Wi-Fi you play games on your TV with like a Steam controller. They have a couple things out. I know Rock Hat makes a really good one, but it's like a lap desk that can fit a keyboard and a mouse.
Oh wow!
And you can play games from your couch like that. And from all the reviews I've heard, they're very uncomfortable and they're not fun to use. The Steam controller was really wonky. I played with one. I don't own one. I played with one. It was interesting. And it was kind of hard to learn, but honestly, it's kind of cool sitting on a couch just like playing games on your PC. But it can get wonky, especially if you try and use a keyboard and mouse. If you're not using a controller, it's so difficult, and using like a little lap desk like really just isn't up to par.
Yeah, it just isn't. And that's why I think, as much as I love my PC, I will always be that diehard console fan, you know? There's just something about it. I think it might have to do a little bit with my childhood, and it kind of like relates to your dad. It's simple, you know?
It's easy.
It's easy. You just buy the console, throw in the game, have yourself a good time, which kind of takes me back to my old days, back with the original NES system, you know?
Yeah, I had a Super Nintendo.
Oh my gosh, there were so many good games for the Super Nintendo, but that was so simple. You didn't do anything. You bought the console, you blew in the cartridge, even though literally on the back of the cartridge it says do not blow into it, and you just pop it in, have yourself a good time for a couple hours, and play Super Mario Brothers or Mario Brothers 3 or just all these NES exclusives that were just amazing at the time.
Yeah, I think Nintendo still has such a foothold on that market. And especially with the Switch now, with that, and they've always had a foothold on the IP market. You know, it's like they're creating their own games, their own platforms. That's always been something that they've strived at too. Is that like it's easy? You plug it in, you turn it on, you play it.
Yeah,
you know,
just plug in and play, and that's what makes it simple. But again, there's also the value of building your PC and customizing it to your needs. Like you said, the sound card, the upping up the resolution. There's a little bit of more of an art form to it, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you definitely miss with consoles, is that you miss that personability, you know? When we build PCs, Sean and I build PCs for people often, and we ask them, you know, the first thing is what are you going to name it, you know? Like,
right.
We build it.
Do you want to play Solitaire? Do you want to run Minecraft? What do you want with this machine? Yeah,
what's it going to do? What do you want it to do? You know, what do you need it to do? You know, if someone says, hey, I want to play all the new games at 4K and I want to run 60 FPS and no stutters, and I'm going to be also rendering videos on the side, you know? And they're willing to drop a $3,000 computer. And there's some people who's like, man, I want a $300 computer and I want it to just run games. I want to play Minecraft on it. And you're able to move back and forth. Yeah, that's cheaper than an Xbox.
True. And you can always add upgrades to your PC. You could always upgrade the RAM. You can just change out the CPU, get a new graphics card.
Yeah, and that's something that we've always kind of argued too, is that when you build a PC, it's designed to last 5 to 10 years. It's designed to last 5 to 10 years before you have to either change out parts, because they're at the end of their lifespan. They only last about 5 to 10 years, mostly. Which is like actually longer than the lifespan of most Xboxes. I know a lot of people still have their Xboxes laying around. Like, I know people are going to be jumping at me like, hey, I still have my Xbox from high school. But not at heavy use, though. Like, that's because it sits on a shelf most of the time. Xboxes only last, like, 4 to 5 years of, like, heavy use. And then you get a new one. Or you upgrade anyway because they released the Xbox One. Or
exactly.
Now Project Scorpio.
By the time you got it, it could be the Pro version or...
Right, and they're forcing you to upgrade anyway,
Yeah, because it's like, why would you want to stay with the 360? We're going to start releasing all these Xbox One games. You got to get on the new one.
Right, and the One games don't work on the 360, of course.
Exactly, of course. No, because that would be a little too convenient, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
And see, I think at the end of the day, I feel like this argument that's been going on forever is seen in the wrong light. Everybody sees this argument as objectively, like, well, this one is better. I think it should be left down to subjective, I have a bunch of people who are like, I am console all the way. They appreciate the PC, they own a gaming PC, but at the end of the day, they love sitting on a couch, playing some games.
And I think that's the heart of the argument is, what do you do on your like, what kind of games do you play and how do you like to play them?
And that's what I always game? Say.
Yeah, and I always say to people, say, hey man, I just want to sit on my couch and play Mass Effect. Like, you know what, dude? An Xbox is for you.
Yeah.
And I think beyond that, I we always say, like, building a PC or buying a PC is always a step up. It's like the next level. But if you're comfortable on a couch playing games, by all means.
By all means, exactly. So it should be left down subjectively, not objectively.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, our time is up. Time just seems to fly by here at Zero's Game Room because we're always talking about games and stuff that's going on. Jack, I appreciate you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me by, man. I appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Zero's Game Room. Want to give a special thanks to my graphics designer at Trekit on Twitter and at David_Ritter for voicing my intro. Keep up to date with the podcast by liking it on Facebook at Zero's Gaming Room and on Twitter at Zero's Game Room. Until next time, GG with a definite re.